Here we are. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of what we now have finally come up with the name of GeekyKOOL Presents Professor and Ace.
It shouldn't have taken us that long to come up with that name.
You know, it does sometimes. So it's just what it is. So, and if you notice up above Ace's head, there's a other way.
I know.
Our little icon here. And by the way, AJ did create that, so thank you. You are awesome. I so appreciate it.
It's got a lot of Doctor Who like stuff in there, you know.
It does. It's pretty awesome that way.
The 3D glasses, which a lot of people don't realize, but yeah.
Yeah, and agreed. From the 10th Doctor. So
That's right. Look at you.
and the Fez is from the 11th Doctor. So there we are.
It's my favorite.
There you go.
Although I really did love Peter as well.
Right. And I'm a big David Tennant fan, so you know I'm cool with all of that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So anyway, all right. So we're gonna see if we have anybody with any comments and questions. So far tonight we don't. So we're gonna get started. We decided we wanted to talk about those geeky things that typical geeks like that one of us may not like it nearly as much.
Right. Not things that there's a couple that I just completely dislike, but for the they're just not my thing.
Right. It's okay. It's just not our things, and that's okay. So you know, last week we talked about some things we like to kind of let people know who we are and what we like, and this is to kind of help you also know maybe some of the things we don't like nearly as much. So it's okay to disagree on these, and I think we're going to disagree on a couple of them at least.
Well, and here's the thing with disagreeing on it, we're not gatekeepers. Neither one of us are. You like what you like. I like what I like.
Yeah.
They do. If they don't, good for you for liking something I don't quite like. It's not a big deal. Geekdom is not about gatekeepers. It's not about who knows the most about, you know, whatever subject. It's about what you like. And so I just want to throw that out there because I don't want people going, yeah, well, you should like that. Well, okay. I just don't. And it's not about me dissing what somebody else's likes are. It's just about like my preference.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're not here to hate on people for liking something. It's just something we don't necessarily have a preference for. And it's kind of an interesting thing because, you know, we get drawn in a group of friends, and most of them may like something we just haven't found the preference for. And that doesn't mean that we're not one of them. We just have a different taste in it. So.
Right. I mean, I'm in a relationship with someone who hates Doctor Who.
That's hard to believe.
I know. Seriously. So,
now I do have to say, you know, my first experience with Doctor Who was probably in the mid 80s when a friend of mine said, you should watch this on PBS. And the problem with it was I came in what I assume was in the middle of a run, because a lot of those episodes would have 3 or 4 episodes in a row. And unless you kind of understood what was going on, you'd come in totally lost, and it was a little slower than I was used to.
Right. I always tell people, and this is just, I have watched every single Doctor, and I've been watching Doctor Who since like 1981.
Right.
So for years and years, like before it was mainstream. And I tell people who don't know anything about Doctor Who that if you want to get started, start with the newer Doctors. Start with Chris and move your way up. And then if you then like them, you now appreciate the character and the character development, then go back and watch the older ones because they were made before technology was great.
Right.
And they were made in, they're very cheesy. Some of the things are very cheesy, but I still love it because I love the characters.
Right.
But I know people who love the newer Doctors and hate the older Doctors. I mean, I have Doctor Who friends who are like, nope, can't do it. And again, it's about they're allowed to. They're allowed to not like something. So.
Well, I do like the older Doctor. It just took me realizing, watching the new Doctor and watching from Eccleston on, and then going, oh, okay. And then I was able to go back, and then I was able to appreciate more of the way that they did the episodes. But being a teenager and coming in, and I'm used to stuff like Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica and stuff that's just jump and go, and some other episodes were a little talkative and not a lot of action in some of them. And that's okay.
That's I like witty, and I like thoughtful. And when I say that, I don't mean like oh, he was thoughtful. I mean like they say stuff, and then like 3 days later you're thinking about the episode and you're like, oh,
right,
and that's
exactly.
what I love things. That's one of the reasons that my list has things on it that it has, because these things don't make me do
that. I get that completely. And yeah, I'm with you completely on all that. That makes sense to me. So, and I for those that don't know, we've taken our nicknames, the Professor and Ace, actually from the 7th Doctor and his companion. So I know, Ace is awesome. So you're a perfect Ace.
I take that as a high compliment.
You should.
No, Ace is one of my favorites, and she wasn't around for like the stretch of like Rose or Amy Pond. Amy Pond is, I think, my favorite of the newer ones, like from Chris on. So, but yeah, Amy and Rory, heart. Yep, they have it. But yeah, no, I love. I can't believe when you started calling me Ace, I was like, I have no idea why he's saying it.
But it's cool.
I'm not even lying. Yeah.
So no, I started that because you were my Ace reporter going out and getting them, and then it just kind of fit. I'm like, well. And then I started watching. I was watching the 7th Doctor. I'm like, this really fits. This is perfect. So.
I appreciate that. I'm not your Ace reporter, but I appreciate the compliment.
Well, I think of you that way. Okay. So. Do you want to start, or shall I start with our list?
So why don't we do this? There are huge fandoms. There are people, like there are certain things that are huge. Doctor Who is a huge fandom.
Yes.
Out of the huge fandoms, because I know which one you sent me, like that you were like, I don't like this. And I was like, oh, I like that one. And then you know which one I'm like, I don't necessarily like this one. And I think they're considered huge fandoms.
I agree.
So why don't we talk about those two first? I think that's kind of cool. Also, I feel like it'll give me like a chance before everybody gets in here and hates on it.
Yeah. So do you want to start, or shall I start?
I'll start. Mine is Supernatural.
Not a fan of the Winchesters.
Okay, I liked it the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
I watched it the first couple seasons. I think it played out way sooner than they've allowed it to play out. I think it could have actually ended a few seasons back. And the storylines don't make me go, oh, like they did it first.
Right.
The to me just has gone downhill. The acting is still good. I actually like both the Winchesters. But their characters haven't grown as much as I had hoped they would. And so yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of Supernatural like after season 5. Yeah. And I wasn't a big fan between 3 and 5 either. 1 and 2 I liked, but after that I'm just like, eh.
See, and I understand where you're coming from, because I am a fan. I'm still watching it regularly, even though I'm watching the season behind on Netflix. And I'm not really thrilled with the idea that they're going to fight God now. That doesn't really, I'm like, I don't really understand where you're going with that, or why. But okay, so, but beside that, I'm with you. I thought season 5, I think it's season 5, where they have the big final battle with Lucifer and Gabriel, and it's in the junkyard. That was a perfect ending. That was a perfect
Right.
ending for the show. I consider that to be the core episodes. After that, I go and have fun with it, but it's not that same level as it once was. So I get that. I still love it and I still watch it. I watch it because it's almost like, well, what am I going to do? Stop now after 14 episodes or 14 seasons? Am I going to stop then? I'll keep watching.
I stopped at season 6. I
Yeah.
did. I couldn't anymore. I was like, no. And then I catch a few episodes now and then. Like I'll be, if it's on somebody's house, I'm not going to be like, oh,
right.
I will sit and watch it.
Right.
I'm not, but I have not. And I know that like a lot of my friends would be like, that's terrible. But it's just one of the, I really wanted it. I would have been happy with it ending at season 5.
Yeah.
I really would. I felt like sometimes fandoms and, fan-based like push shows to, or movies even, to points that I think they should have just stopped. I think they shouldn't have continued just because they have the fans. There are shows that did not get a chance to continue. You're wearing one.
Mm-hmm.
Your shirt.
I certainly am.
That could have continued, and that has a fan base. They could bring it back, and like I just feel like there's certain ones that should have just ended. They're overplayed.
No, I get that.
That's my
I get that.
Yeah.
No, completely understand that. That makes perfect sense, and I definitely don't hate on you for that. I said I'm still watching it, still a fan.
No, you're good.
Even though I have to say, just not to rag on Supernatural, but it was bothersome for the longest time. Every time they made a interesting female character, she was dead. You would have her for half a season, and they find a way to kill her off, and I'd be like, "What are we doing? These are great characters. Why do you got to kill all the girls?"
I feel like they have created very interesting characters other than the Winchester brothers.
Yeah.
That I think could have been way more than what they were. And the girls are one of them. But some of the others that they bring in and you just get introduced to them, and you're like, oh, I want to hear that story.
Right.
And then they never tell that.
Right.
But that's my problem with the writing. And it's not the actors, and it's not the base storyline that I have a problem with. It's the writing. And there are different shows. I love Doctor Who. We've just discussed that. But there are episodes of Doctor Who where I'm like, this is just being phoned in. Not the whole show, but certain episodes.
Right.
And
right.
I feel like Supernatural became more fan fiction, and I know it sounds really weird, and I have nothing wrong with fan fiction. Like I read it. We talked about this. I read it, and everything, and so do you. But I expect a hit show to have more depth in the writing than it did. I don't know the newer seasons because I haven't watched them, because it literally lost my interest completely. So I haven't watched it for years. But
I understand. Yeah, it really does go on the writing, and the writing and the character development really matters a lot with these shows. So we're going to go with mine, which probably is more shocking than yours.
I was shocked. I was so shocked that you don't like the show.
Yeah. So mine is BBC's Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch. Not a fan.
First of all, I'm a huge fan of the character Sherlock Holmes. I've read all of the books. My favorite is The Study of Scarlet and Scarlet. And I really disagree with you on that one. I think that Benedict was an unexpected choice for Sherlock. It's not necessarily Sherlock that I imagine in my head for years. And plus I also had that whole problem that Basil Rathbone from the old movies
Yeah.
is something that I grew up watching. So
Right.
those two did not go.
Right.
But I found the writing intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
And the characters, Watson is just, I completely loved how he was written.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm surprised that you don't like it, but tell me why you don't like it.
That's a good question. So here's what I'm expecting from a television show. From a television show, I expect you to kind of have something that you grab me in, and
Okay.
you pull me in and make me want more. So after half an hour or 50 minutes, if it's an hour long show or whatever, where I'm excited for the next episode. These things were an hour and a half long, and
Yes, they were.
I did not expect that. So that was part of the reason I didn't like it. Was I was expecting it to go faster, and I had other things I needed to do, and I'm trying to focus, and it's not a show that you can just kind of half-heartedly watch. You really got to pay attention if you want to get into it. And I was trying. I really tried, but I just found that I was bored half the time waiting for something to happen. And again, it's sometimes it's that British view of things where things go a little slower. And I don't mind that if I'm expecting it, but I'm like, an hour and a half is a movie. It's not an episode.
That's what I was going to say, is that's how I look at them. Is they're a series of movies. They're short movies.
Right.
And going into it, I knew that the first episode was going to be an hour and a half. And then I wasn't sure about after that, because PBS does this thing and BBC does this thing when they, work together. Like their first episode sometimes is a little longer, and their last episode's longer.
Right.
And then the ones in between are 45 minutes to an hour long.
Right.
But I also don't have a problem. Like some of my favorite shows from BBC and PBS, like Downton Abbey, I loved, and Sherlock, they're longer. But I do see that point. It is slow because it takes the speed. TV shows have to be bam, 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 because you're trying to get everything crammed into like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Because I know people are like, it's an hour long. It's actually not. It's like 45 to 48 minutes.
Right.
And then they do commercials. To try to get everything, it has to be faster paced. That's why you have things that they don't go into, like these little minute details. I think with Sherlock Holmes, what I liked about it was the pacing was more along the lines of the books.
Right.
But I do see how that could be like something you don't enjoy in a TV show, because it's paced slow, then it has a fast moment, and then it's slow again, and then it has a fast moment. And no, I get it.
It really wasn't about the actors. I like the actors. I love Freeman. I think he's a great Holmes. So it wasn't even the character development. It was just, and I think partially it was my expectation. So I've noticed this. If I go with a certain expectation, like an example is, and I did not like Starship Troopers the first time I saw it, because my expectation was it was going to be more of a Marines in space, and we're gonna, I had been watching Space Above and Beyond, and so my expectation, we're gonna have something really kind of cool like this in a movie form, and then it was very satirical and the pacing was a little different, and so I didn't love it the first time I saw it. I left and thought, why did I waste my money on this? And I've seen it again since then and gone, okay, I get what they're doing, but it was my expectations of what it was. And I also read the book afterwards, which the book is still very different than the movie, but movie makes more sense to me after reading the book. So
that's good. Yeah. With movies, I try not to listen to the hype of movies, because there are certain movies that I love that have been box office flops.
Right.
And then there's movies that everybody loves, and they're like, this is the most brilliant movie, and I go and watch it, and I'm just like, no. And one of the movies that I dislike to the point that I have only watched it through one time. Now, I have watched it, like the first of it, the middle of it, and the end of it several times, but they're not like, I can't sit and watch the whole thing.
Right.
I just can't. And that's Avatar. I can't watch it. I wanted to like it. First of all, James Cameron, I wanted to like it. It's beautiful. Visually, it appeals to me. I love aesthetically beautiful sets and all of that. And it has all of that. But the story falls so flat. I'm actually more interested in the story that took place before he got there. Like,
right.
I'm more interested in what they don't, like, they go into it, but I want to see that movie.
Right.
I don't want to see the movie I saw. So yeah, like, that was one of those movies where everybody was telling me how good it was, and I went and spent money, and then I was upset that I spent money to go see it.
I get that.
Look,
So.
Maxine!
Hi, Maxine.
A lot of shows I've watched wait until they
start focusing on
that's
relationships.
true too.
Yeah.
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 I agree.
The moonlighting effect.
I think that there are certain shows that also, I don't think every show needs like a romance.
Right.
I don't think every show needs to have like love involved. Like, we as humans, yes, we want love and we want like companionship and all that stuff, but we tend to go a long time in our lives unless we fall in love in high school and marry our high school sweetheart, like, without relationships, like romantic relationships. So I agree that I think like a lot of the times, Maxine, a lot of the times writers put those in because they just think that that is a token thing you should have in a movie or a TV show. And I just don't think it's necessary all the time. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment also. That can really ruin things if you take the relationship out of perspective there. So and focus on that, and then do seasons of will they, won't they sort of thing.
Well, and if it's the basis of the show. So comedies, a lot of the time, sitcoms have that will she, won't she, will they end up together, like type The Nanny. You know, we had like 5 seasons of her trying to get him and him no, and it was like this, and then she got him. That's the story. It's a romantic sitcom. But if it's not the main story you're wanting to tell, like, don't spend so much time doing that. I think that a lot of the times my most interesting characters and relationships in TV shows that I like are Friends. I like not the TV show Friends, although I do like it. But like the friendships that are, it reminds me of Buffy. With, you know, like there's that whole debate, like, is it Angel or is it Spike? You know, who's better for Buffy? And I'm like, neither one of them. Just let Buffy be Buffy. And yeah, you know, as a boyfriend sometimes, fine. But it shouldn't drive the focus of the show away from everything else.
I agree. And her friends were awesome.
Oh, yeah. Willow? Dude. Allison? No, Willow was my favorite.
I can see that. Willow's awesome. Yeah. So to touch on what you said, I really don't like Friends. Now, that's not a geeky thing, but the show Friends does nothing for me. So
yeah.
So
I like Friends, but they're terrible people. Like, I love people who are like, I want friends like Friends. No, I don't. They're not. Like, there's very few people on that show that are like, I would hang out with those people. Chandler Bing is probably one of them, but I raised a kid who's very much like Chandler. So, you know,
yeah,
he's, you know, very sarcastic and ironic and tries to be funny, but in like an awkward way. And so, but no, I think that sometimes geeky stuff, some people geek out over Friends though, Professor. Like, it's not a geeky thing.
Well, it's not considered a geek show, but it can be geeky in the way you handle it. That's for sure.
Right. It's a fandom. Yep. I agree with that, Maxine.
Well,
it ends up seeming more
I think sometimes it's a matter of the writers think you have to have that to draw females in for the audience. You got to have romance
And
for that.
that is so sad. Okay, so going back to Doctor Who, you said David Tennant is your favorite. So I have, when people ask me like to describe the Doctor, I'm like, well, each Doctor has their own personality and their own like their own like personal, what I deem like characteristics.
Right.
You know, you have this was what I called the loner warrior Doctor. He was alone for so long, and then he met Rose, and you know,
Right.
David, totally like the romantic, like make girls swoon Doctor. Matt, who's my favorite, is the, you know, funny comedy, but don't really want to make him mad kind of guy.
Right.
Peter was like the smart, like intellectual, fighting his own demons. So with that, like Doctor Who is not supposed to be romance. It has romantic things in it. It is not supposed to be a romance. And this is gonna get me into so much trouble. I dislike Rose and the Doctor. I do. Like, you're like, oh god. I love Rose. I love the Doctor. I disliked the love relationship. The girls are supposed to be crushing on the Doctor. Like, they crush on him. They're not supposed to fall in love with them. The Doctor's not supposed to fall in love with a human girl. Like, it's not that's not characteristic. And so, yes. So speaking of things I don't like, and that is going to be like, we're going to be like, you are a Doctor Who fan. I am. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I did not like the romance between Rose and the Doctor. I think it should have stayed friendly. I think it should have stayed. I think it should not have been reciprocated back. I think she should have been in love with him. That was fine. I don't think he should have fallen for her.
I understand. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that relationship. So, but that's okay. Yeah, but I also really love, and people just hate Martha, but I thought Martha was great. So Martha again had the crush and everything else, but she was awesome. I'm like, dude, she's a med student. She's doing all this. She ends up doing all this really cool stuff eventually. And I really think Martha's awesome, but people hated Martha. And I really also enjoyed Donna. Now, Donna's relationship with the Doctor is awesome.
I love Donna. People hated Donna. But I think this is the thing, like with Maxine, what she brought up was that this is a desperate need and a desperate like attempt to draw an audience in. And then you do. And with a show like The Doctor, it's going to end. He's going to regenerate and be somebody completely different. Even though he is the same person, he's not. He's not going to have the same feelings. He's going to grow old or whatever it is. Like there are things that are going to happen that changes that relationship. When Rose left, I think that caused people who wanted the romance to be upset with anybody who came in. Like anybody who replaced Rose was not good enough. And that to me is sad. I liked Martha. I loved Donna Noble with the Doctor. Because she wasn't in love with him.
Right.
Like at
all. Not at all.
She was annoyed by him. It was like the brother thing. It was like,
it was.
He was their brother. Yeah. We live for the lure, not the love. That's right. I love Maxine. I love it. I wish more people were like chiming in. I love like you guys talking to us.
Well, we've got a couple other viewers live, so guys, feel free to jump in here with us. We got a little more time, so. But thank you, Maxine. We do appreciate your comments.
Maxine is one of my kids. Did you know that, Professor? She's one of my kids.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
very nice.
Maxine went with the KOOL. Yeah. So I've known her for years. Makes me feel very old that I'm old enough to be her mother.
Yeah, but you had your son when you were 5.
Yeah.
Look at you. Okay. The only way to have a 25-year-old and look like this is either magic, or you're a doctor, or you're you know, a member of the Highlander class and Immortal, or you had him when you were 5. I don't know. I'm not lopping off your head, so I can tell you.
I was an adult, and we weren't allowed to discuss the other secrets. No, I don't. Always like tease me, and I'm always like, I don't know. This, trust me, it's not as good as it seems. It's called makeup. But no.
Fair enough.
Talked about a movie that we just like. I talked about a movie I disliked.
Yep.
Is there a movie you disliked?
Well, you know, we talked about Starship Troopers being one of those that I came in disliking. Yeah. You know, and I really, really disliked Batman versus Superman. Just didn't. I didn't hate it. I didn't leave the theater wanting my money back, but I went. The only redeeming factor for me was Wonder Woman. I'm like, the rest of it, you had bad attitude Batman followed by bad attitude Batman with superpowers attacking each other. Because I'm like, Superman's not supposed to be brooding. What in the world? You have Lex Luthor that's a crazy young guy. You have, I'm watching this going,
saying that one.
What is this? So
I don't think you're in the minority. It's so funny. Do you read that?
That is awesome. I agree with it. I can see that. Yeah. Pretty soon they're going to think he's your older brother.
You know what? Somebody actually did think that he was older than me, like not long ago, and I was just like,
I can see that.
No, I'm his mom too. I don't think you're in the minority on the Superman and the Batman versus Superman movie. I think it flopped for a reason. Like, it didn't flop, like didn't make money, but you know, it just wasn't as well received as they thought it was going to be. Wonder Woman was my favorite, but it was just an anticipation that I knew she was going to have a movie, and then showed up this one, and I'm like, yes, first glimpses of Wonder Woman. She wasn't even like, she didn't make the movie. How did I put this? She didn't add to the movie as much as I had hoped that they would have had her add to the movie. They lost a little bit of that, but I understand they were doing her own movie, and you know, they wanted to tell that story. That does bring me to my least favorite comic book characters, though.
All right, go right ahead.
I dislike Batman, and I dislike Superman. And it's not that I'm a Marvel fan more. I actually do enjoy DC. I love Batman's companions, heroes that that come into the story. I am a huge Robin fan. I love Nightwing. Batgirl rocks. I'm not big on Batwoman, but Batgirl, Robin, and Nightwing, I watch them all the time. I love the Flash, but Batman, to me, is not. He always lets me down. He always lets me down, and not in like he's not doing his superhero job. The depth of his character is almost one tone, and I want more facts. I want him to be more human. I understand he's rich and he's beautiful and he's like smart and he's like the world's greatest detective. I actually am hoping the new Batman movie, they bring more of that part in, because that is the most interesting part to me about Batman, was the detective work.
Right, I agree.
Not just I'm a rich guy who can pay for expensive toys. I do like Batman's Rogue Gallery. I think Spider-Man's is better because I love Spidey. But his Rogue Gallery is impressive. He has some great rogues that they don't talk about, like that are B rogues. But him as a whole is one of my least favorite comic book superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
I think Superman beats Batman in my least favorite comic book character. Superman is too flat. He's too goody all the time. Yes, he is Clark Kent and he is Superman, and I want them to be two separate kind of characters trying to work together. Kind of like Peter Parker and Spidey, or even Bruce and Batman, because it's like two different characters that are trying to work together. Clark Kent and Superman are the same character.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a alter ego. It's literally just him with glasses and without his cape. It's not there. There's no conflict internally. A lot of the time. Now, I'm not saying there aren't storylines that there have been, because there have. But overall, I just find him a one-note character.
Right.
And I feel like that's really sad, because I feel like he had the potential. Sorry, allergies.
That happens. I've got that too.
It's not COVID.
And if it was, you can't get it by watching it. So,
right.
I will say that we had 3 viewers. Now we're down to 2. Wondering if Brittany or Jason was watching, because 1, both of them love Batman versus Superman, and 2, both of them would argue completely with us about this. Now, if you're watching and you disagree with us about the Batman Superman thing, go ahead and post a comment. We're happy to hear from you. And again, we're okay with disagreeing. These are just our preferences. So I'll say I agree with you on this one completely. Batman, I find in certain things, Batman's an interesting character. Like, I really like the Batman 1989 movie, partially because you were developing something that we've not seen on the screen before with Batman. So I really enjoyed that. I even like the old campy 60s Batman. But again, those are certain things. To read the comic, though, and the whole reason Batman has to have Robin, or a Robin, is that actually brings him back to Earth and centers him more on than just justice. So Batman is so focused on bringing everybody to justice. Superman is so focused on doing the right thing and being the stand-up guy all the time. Then that was part of the problem with both of those characters, that they really haven't had a lot of growth. Now, both of those characters are back from the late 30s, and so those characters were being written in a certain way, where we get the advantage of a lot of the Marvel characters, including Spider-Man, being written with a lot of other things going on in life, where these characters were just supposed to be about the superheroes, and this was just a little side thing. Spider-Man's really about Peter Parker and about what he has to sacrifice to be Spider-Man. We've got a comment here from Damon. Hey, Damon, one of our writers here. He's our game writer and other things. We're glad you're watching, Damon. Thank you. And yes, we concur with that. Again, our friends Jason and Brittany would completely disagree. I stood in Best Buy one day talking to them for an hour and a half, and they were trying to convince me how great the movie was. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because I don't know.
The thing is I'm sure I know I love certain movies where people are like, no, you can't love that movie, and I do, and there's nothing wrong with that. And this is like the big thing I want people to take away from this. This is just our personal opinions. We want to get we want you guys to get to know us, and it's easy for us to do like our favorite things, but sometimes like doing the controversial, like I don't like Supernatural, like I don't, you know, especially in the geeky world. And this is the weirdest thing about geekdoms and fandoms is that people, there are two types of people. There are the kind like I am who are like, you like what you like, and God bless you because I don't get it, or I don't enjoy it as much. It's not that I don't get some things. I get Batman. I get Superman. I understand where they're coming from. I just don't enjoy it because I enjoy complexity and they don't give it to me.
Right.
But I would never tell somebody to stop liking Batman. Then there's people like the gatekeepers who are like, one, if you get something wrong when you're talking, have you ever talked to somebody who you consider a gatekeeper?
I have, and what I like to do is actually prove them wrong. That's what thrills me is like,
oh my, they get so mad. First of all, I don't like arguing with people over an opinion. If you tell me that you're like that the best Spider-Man in cinematic history was Garfield, I will be like, okay, I disagree with you. However, it's your opinion. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I don't like people arguing with me on my opinions. Like, I don't mind a debate, but I don't want somebody telling me I'm wrong because it's my opinion. Gatekeepers, and I know some, and they're great people. And if you're talking about anything other than like the thing that they're fandom of, they're fine. It's when you bring up something like, and if you get one thing wrong, they're like, nope, you don't know your stuff. I'm like, dude, it's just not my thing.
Hey, Ashley. Ashley's also one of her writers, so yeah. No, I think we all agree with that, with the villains being the cool part of Batman. So yeah.
I think Batman's villains and Batman's friends, but Batman's the people he brings in, they help him in not just like help him like have somebody to chase, help him to have, but they help the character of Batman become more than Batman. And I find it sad that he can't just do that himself. That's my problem with Batman. That's my problem with Superman. Is the same thing. I find that they're so stuck on one thing, like you said. Batman's all about justice. Superman's all about the right thing. He's the ultimate Boy Scout. And so that's kind of the problem I have with like, I don't
get
think
that.
A hero should but so, yeah, and I like a hero that's wrong. Like if you ask me who my favorite X-Men are, it's not Wolverine. I actually just don't like Wolverine very much.
Oh my gosh.
It's not Professor X. I know. I don't hate Wolverine. He's not my favorite. I have ones. My favorite are the ones that people don't give enough credit to, I think. And you know, like Jubilee, Gambit, and Beast are my top three. Those are my top three. I love Smart. Beast is up there because he's smart. So it's one of those things, though, that I feel like sometimes people get so passionate about their things, and I love that. But when you defer other people from even enjoying something because of your passion, I think that can get a little like overwhelming, and it doesn't necessarily mean it. I enjoy something without being passionate about it. I mean, you know, I enjoy the Batman movies. I'm just not passionate about it.
I get that. No, and that makes sense. No, the gatekeepers, the problem with them is they feel like you have to have a certain amount of knowledge. Well, how do you introduce somebody to something? How do you teach somebody to love something? As I see that part as my job. That's why I like doing this and like doing the website, is to expose people to things maybe they've not seen. If they like them or not, that's up to them, but at least they're getting some exposure. And if you start liking something, you can like a character without knowing 75 years of history. Now, for me,
Right.
I like to go find out that history and figure out what happened, but I don't necessarily know all of it right away. I mean, some of it is just stuff that where you're like, okay, that or I can like a character but not love a character, and then maybe I don't go find that out because it's not that important to me. Bless you again. So we've got Damon here with a comment for us. And completely agree with that. And you take probably one of the greatest Superman villains of all time, you stick him as a character in the last 10 minutes of the movie. I just, to me, that was as bad as taking Venom and making him in the last 10 minutes of Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, that would not have been.
So
I agree. I don't necessarily go with the whole Rotten Tomatoes thing because, like I said, some of my favorite movies have scored really low.
Right.
But I do agree with the whole, like, that's one of my problems with those characters is I feel like they're flat. And in that movie, though, it was personified to the, like, the top. It was, and here's the problem with it. It could have been the movie that made me like them.
Right.
If it was written better.
Right.
It gave them, it made Superman not the nice guy all the time trying to do the right thing. It Batman older and a little bit more fallible and not so like I am justice, and because he was battling his friend. It could have been a movie that made me enjoy them more.
Right.
It didn't.
I'm with you 100%.
That's the writing on that. Like, I agree. The writing, that's the thing. Like, I never blame the actors unless they're just a bad actor. There are bad actors, but if you know that somebody can act really well and they're in a movie and it's not being done right, it's gonna be either they're not passionate about the story. Robert Pattinson with Twilight was notorious for saying, I knew it was crap. Like, I'm not going to do a good job. I didn't like, I just knew it was payday.
Right.
But if you know that they're a professional who's trying their hardest, then you got to look at like the writers. You got to look at the producer. You got to look at the director. Somebody dropped the ball for these people. And the thing is sometimes you have writers. These stories a lot of the times go through so many hands. Like, you come up with a story, you send it in, you get it approved, whatever. The studio says, yes, we want to do it. It goes through so many rewrites. It goes through so many editors, so many tests, like audience testing.
Right.
All of that stuff happens. And it can cause what could potentially be a great story to not be good.
Agreed. Well, and we know that Warner Brothers is notorious for going in after a script is all written and it's all approved and going in and basically rewriting everything because the latest trend is X, Y, and Z. We want to add this in here or we want to do that. And some yeah.
Yeah.
So Damon replied here for us. Let's check it out here. That is a fun movie, though. I mean, so I get that, Damon.
Oh, no,
yeah.
I like bad movies.
Well, and the first one's even better.
Damon, I like movies that people are like, that's a bad movie. Not all of them. Some of them are just bad movies. But if it's the level of badness, if it gets down to the ridiculous bad, I am watching that because one, it's hilarious, and two, like some of them, I love it when they try to take themselves too serious. Like you can tell if they thought this was going to be the best movie ever.
Right. Right.
I have like who's in the other room, and he's what one did you name off? Oh, that is a bad movie. It's called Veronica. It is not kid friendly. Do not
I've heard
let
of
your kids
it.
watch
Yeah.
it. It is, but we watched it the other night because we saw the trailer, or Shrew saw the trailer for it, and he's like, "We have to watch this. This looks like the worst movie ever." It is bad, but how they were making it, they thought it was going to be good. like I can't when you take yourself too seriously, and I'm like, no, you can't. Like there's one part, there's this character, and he's a spider guy, and he just has the other legs that just hang. And oh, God. They couldn't even do the fish, like fish line where he goes like this. No. And he's a spider who's a killer who ends up breaking people's necks. Like if you have a spider as your villain, that's how you have him kill people, break their necks. Like I feel like that's very, very weak. Very weak. But yeah, no, that one was bad. That was bad. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. Nope.
Well, Skyline. Nope. Skyline's probably the worst movie I've ever seen.
What?
The movie Skyline.
What was? Oh yeah, the worst movie I ever seen was The Northman.
Oh yeah. I've seen that on Netflix or whatever. I've not actually watched it, so.
I have it on DVD. It came in a double feature with another bad movie, but I like. MK has. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I agree with that. Like I love it when they have production errors and mistakes, but they let it go.
Right.
Just let it go. Veronica, there's a scene. It's so sloppy. There's a scene where the girl's going up the stairs, and you could tell they didn't know where to put her mic pack, and so they taped it to her leg, which is fine in every other scene except when she's going up the stairs in a short skirt.
Right.
See the mic.
You think maybe like, a better place.
Like no, don't try to shoot up her skirt. Like I'm just saying, if you got the mic pack there, move the mic pack. She wasn't talking. Take it off. Like
right.
Yeah, but no, that's a bad movie.
That is pretty bad. So, well, anything else we need to talk about as far as geek things that we don't enjoy as much as other people?
There's so many things.
I understand that.
The thing about it is, it's almost getting at an hour, and I think we could probably talk for a long time because we do that, Professor.
Yeah.
But first, I want to, before we wrap things up, I want to thank everybody. GeekyKOOL.com's Facebook page reached 500 likes this week. That's a goal of mine when I came on board as a staff writer, was like trying to get that social media up, and our new goal is 600 likes. If we can do 600 likes by the end of May, which is my goal, I feel like I'm going to do some kind of drawing or something, and we'll have a prize package or something like that for all our fans. And I'm going to put that together. I'm going to get some writers and some, I'm going to try to get together with some artists and stuff like that, and maybe come up with something really cool. But so if you haven't liked our page yet on Facebook, please go do that. It's the GeekyKOOL.com page. You're probably watching this on that page right now. And if you have friends that you think would enjoy what we do, go invite them to like it. I would, but I've invited everybody I know.
Yeah, we also have a Twitter account and a Tumblr account, and we're going to start doing some more work with those, and maybe get an Instagram account and whatever else. I'm as techie as I can be, I'm not really good at the social media thing. I'm really good at posting things from GeekyKOOL there, but yeah, I know. That's probably because I'm no longer a teenager. I don't know. So, unlike you, I don't.
I mean, I did a lot of studying. So, also, be sure, not just our page and our website, but we have some great friends who do some really fun things, and be sure to check them out while you're surfing the web or doing. Do people still say surfing the web? I don't know. They do. Like, I feel really old saying that. When you're out like perusing on the internet and you want to see something cool and geeky and you want some opinions or you want something funny, be sure to check out some of our friends. Which one are you gonna do first?
Let's do Nerd Informants first.
Nerd Informants, Tim and Josh. That is Tim Church and Josh Grisham. They're here in Branson, Missouri, and they are the Nerd Informants. Funny. They do movie reviews. They do game reviews. They do all kinds of really fun things. Josh has like the best voice.
He does.
He's a DJ on the radio, so he's got a great voice. And Tim is just like the sweetest guy ever. But go check them out. They are on YouTube. They're on Facebook. They even have a Nerd Informants added page for like all their fans to post things and stuff like that. But go check them out. They're really awesome.
They are really awesome. And let's not forget about our friends Keith and Gary over at Pop Culture Minefield. This one is definitely not a family-friendly post unless you're one of those families that are very okay with lots of cursing, because you never know what's going to come out of Gary's mouth. But they're hysterical. And they bring in some really cool guests. They both have a large connection of people that they bring in, and some really informative stuff. I saw the one that they had with Josh Roberts, formerly from the Comic Cave, and his view on the state of comics. And we were trying to actually get something like that before they did that. I was kind of like, they stole our thunder, but we'll still do that. So.
Oh, I was like, they copied us. But you know what's cool about it is we're all friends, we're all geeky friends, so that's going to happen because we all come up with the same kind of cool ideas. So,
and that's very true.
Well, and get somebody in before us. They're fun.
And I think we could probably get Josh to come on at some point too if we want to do that. So yeah. So
Pop Culture Minefield, YouTube. They have Facebook, right? But
they do have a Facebook page. Yes, they do. Yep. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out on YouTube. That's their big channels on YouTube. They do several shows a week. So, and they're, for a while they were doing like little 15-minute shows, but getting those two to shut up is it's worse than getting us to shut up. So.
It's like getting to shut up, Professor.
Well, I know. Well, I know, and that was always the problem when Keith and I and Brittany did Titans of the Fantastic, was that we just talked for hours, and like, oh, is anybody really going to watch us just sit here and talk? But maybe. So maybe. But let's not forget about Scallywag Productions, because they're one of our partners here, and we love all the fun stuff that goes on over there.
Yep, they film right here.
They do.
So yeah, Shpoo over at Scallywag Productions. He's on YouTube. He's on Facebook, Twitter. I want to think he's on Instagram as well.
I think he said he was.
But he has all the links on the page. But they do like videos on all kinds of things. From last week was Daddy Daughter Week, where they did some fun things. He does reviews. He does opinion pieces, and he does it all on video. We do post his videos on our GeekyKOOL site, because he is one of our video contributors. He did write an article the other day too.
He did. It was a really good article too.
I know. I was like, you need to write more. But be sure to go check out Scallywag Productions over there on YouTube. Give them a like on Facebook. I know that we say that, but give them a like on Facebook. Go subscribe to these YouTube channels if you haven't already. That just helps us know like we're doing something that's like, and also it helps us like keep that energy up, because sometimes when you don't know people like you kind of get like a little
why am I doing this? Nobody's paying attention. Nobody likes me.
I mean, I'm just lucky I have you as a partner here, because I feel like that's going to be the case.
Well, I feel pretty lucky to have you, because you bring a lot of good energy for our show, and you're very knowledgeable. You're a heck of a geeky girl. We love that. So
girl. So, and don't forget, like, to check us out on GeekyKOOL.com. That is, we have our own website. We have the Facebook page, the Tumblr, the Twitter, and that's not just me and the professor. We have several contributors: Damon, Ashley, John, Shboo. I know there's way more.
Brian, and there are more. Hopefully, some of them will start being able to write a little more for us. So yeah.
So go check us out. We all have like different opinions. You will even see sometimes we will write the same, like a review on the same movie, but it has a different opinion because it's a different reviewer. And that's the cool thing about our site. It's just about bringing geeky cool stuff together and people who like that sort of thing. So check us out.
All right.
Anything else, Professor?
I think that's it. That's going to wrap up this week. Join us next week at 6:30 Central Time, or whatever time your zone you're in. Make sure you figure that out, because I could go through all those, but I'm not going to. So until next week, you guys have a great geeky week. Check us out. We will be posting new stuff constantly on GeekyKOOL.com.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, guys.